Over the past couple of years, I've been to the Veltins-Arena 4 times. Once on a stadium tour. Welcome to the arena, Auf-Schalke, to the Veltins-Arena. Before becoming a Bochum fan, I experienced the home fans in person as a typical British tourist. I came as a neutral last season when Schalke played Ulm.
No pyro, no party.
And of course, last weekend for the derby. Whatever you want to call it, I don't mind, I don't care, because I did have, despite the loss, a thoroughly enjoyable time. But today, heute, I want to share my thoughts on Schalke 04. The good, the bad, and everything else. We've also been to the previous stadium, the Parkstadion. We've been to the stadium before that, the Glück-auf Kampfbahn. And I've got to make this my last Schalke video for a while, because with all these Schalke videos, you're going to start questioning my Bochum loyalty. You're going to start thinking I'm a secret Schalke fanboy.
Glück auf, der Steiger kommt.
So let's kick off with the stadium, Arena Auf-Schalke, sponsored of course by Veltins. Not a bad beer, but not breathtaking either. Roy, give us a rating, mate.
6 out of 10.
So the beer's not the issue for me here, it's getting hold of a beer that's been the repeat issue. Now I know there's over 62,000 people in the stadium, but on each of the 3 games I've seen, both in the home and away ends, getting a drink has been a nightmare. So if you are to come here, be patient and buy more than 1 beer at a time, because you will be queuing.
Fucking hell. Mate, that is incredible.
But let's look at the good things. The stadium opened in 2001 and was way ahead of its time, with a pitch which slides outside and a retractable roof. Now this roof really does add to the atmosphere inside the stadium. It keeps the noise trapped in, and although from the outside the stadium doesn't look much like a football ground, the inside definitely makes up for it.
This really does feel unlike any other stadium we've done a tour of before. Obviously, the closed roof adds to the different feel. It's different from Dortmund, it's different from Mönchengladbach, it's different from every UK ground.
So for those new subscribers who've asked off the back of last weekend's video, why on earth do Englishmen, or you in particular, why do you support VfL Bochum? Well, I will explain at the end of the video, because it very much relates to Schalke 04. Now, although many Schalke YouTubers themselves have titled the past weekend's video, called it a derby, I know many of you Schalke fans don't feel like it is a derby by any means, and I get that very much. But off the back of the last Bochum game I went to at the Ruhrstadion, the last Zweite Bundesliga game, at the end of the game, the whole of the Ruhrstadion was singing Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la, Sha-la-la-la-la-la, Scheiße 04. And I feel like there is definitely the feeling of it being a derby from our perspective. Now I get it, I get the fact that as a former Manchester United fan, I understand it from both sides of the spectrum. I guess it's like when Bolton will play Manchester United. Bolton and Manchester United, the clubs, the stadiums, the distance between the two is relatively similar to Schalke and Bochum. But again, Manchester United wouldn't care about little old Bolton, and I guess it's the same for Schalke. It's a bigger game for the smaller club, of course. So in this case, I guess we are VfL Bolton. Being completely honest, from a foreigner's perspective, you could say Schalke are kind of like Bochum on steroids. Lots of similarities, just with the volume turned right up. Just look at the tunnels. Here is Bochum's at the Ruhrgebiet, small, narrow, but in the theme of a mine. And then look at Schalke's. It's literally our tunnel, but on steroids.
Glück-auf, der Steiger kommt.
We mentioned previously that Bochum registered the name Ruhrstadion so that Schalke couldn't have it back in the 1970s. Instead, they built the Parkstadion, and the first team played there from, was it 1973? The early 70s to 2001. Although a lot of it has been knocked down, they preserved some of it, and it's still used for the second team. So if you want to check it out, it's only around the corner from the Veltins-Arena. This is another thing I not only like about Schalke, but about Germany in general. They tend to preserve former stadiums. They celebrate tradition. Unlike here in England, old stadiums just get knocked down to make way for more housing or a supermarket. Just take a look at the stadium before the Parkstadion, the Glück-auf Kampfbahn. Glück-auf, ladies and gents, welcome to the Glück-auf Kampfbahn, the old home of Schalke. Schalke 04 played their football here for around 50 years, I believe, from the 1920s till they moved in the 70s to the Parkstadion. So this stadium is technically owned by the city of Gelsenkirchen, but Schalke 04 still use it for the women's team and sometimes for promotional purposes, like when a new player signs. An absolutely incredible old stadium, and again, if you are a ground hopper like me, I thoroughly suggest you check it out if you're nearby. Now, collectively, all of Schalke's stadiums, old, older and current, collectively, fair play. They're really good. Like I said, the only slight criticism is that us thirsty Englishmen struggled for a pint.
Scheiß Dortmund, Scheiß Dortmund, Prost to you.
Anyway, in terms of location, the Veltins-Arena does feel like it's in the middle of nowhere, which has its positives and negatives. The training pitches and a big fan shop are all on site next door to the stadium. For those who love a bit of commercialism, the fan shop has lots of quirky, unique items. There's loads of parking around the stadiums, but this will be my biggest criticism, and it's the same every time I've been. Leaving the car parks is an absolute bloody nightmare. You will be waiting for at least an hour, so make sure if you can, you use public transport.
Bratwurst. Yeah, not bad. Good. 7 out of 10.
The club and area is obviously incredibly proud of its mining history, which I guess is why I partly make the comparison to Bochum, as we have the famous Bergbau Museum, the Miner Museum. Before each game, Schalke sing this. Which, as we mentioned in the last video, you don't have to be a Schalke fan to enjoy, as it's a miners' song used all over Germany. Again, even as a Bochumer, it's an impressive sight seeing 62,000 people wave their scarves as that song is playing. Now, previously, when speaking to English people about Schalke, I've made the comparison to Tottenham Hotspur, and don't take offence, I've kind of explained that Schalke are like the Tottenham, which makes Borussia Dortmund the Arsenal in this comparison. Obviously, Dortmund have had more recent success with regards to trophies and so on. In the recent history, obviously Schalke have been struggling in the Zweite Liga, but they're also a little bit more trophy shy compared to the Arsenal, in this case, Borussia Dortmund. So that's where I've made the comparisons. But again, I mentioned being a former Manchester United fan, I do have some empathy for Schalke, following a club who have become a fallen giant. Now, although my own connection with Manchester United is kind of gone now, I'm very much only a Bochum fan, I can see from a Schalke perspective. So mentioning, for example, the derby or the dismissal of it being a derby, some might perceive that as slightly arrogant, an arrogant way of looking at things. Again, I'm not hating at all, because I've been there. Man United fans get accused of arrogance and maybe living in the past somewhat. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for Schalke, but unfortunately, this is the 3rd season in a row, I believe. They're playing in the Zweite Liga. I think they finished 10th that first season, then 14th last season. And I know they've just beaten us, but not massively convincingly. So maybe over time, this might become a derby. Who knows? Either way, as a rival, a local, a foreigner, whatever you want to call me and us Bochumers, I've got to put my hand out as a mark of respect. Mentioning how I became a Bochum fan is, again, I mentioned the fact that I did a stadium tour originally at the Schalke Arena Auf-Schalke. And after that stadium tour, I looked at my phone to see if there were any games nearby in the Ruhrgebiet, and I didn't even know who VfL Bochum were at the time. I saw they were playing Hoffenheim. Again, not a great game on paper, but it was that first time at the Ruhrstadion, which came off the back of a Schalke stadium tour. And although I caught the bug initially with Bochum, I held off. I resisted the temptation. I made the trip or trips around Germany as a neutral, experiencing different football fan cultures, atmospheres and so on. And I really did enjoy, as a neutral, watching Schalke some time ago now. Anyway, much respect. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my little thought process, my opinions, my experience, sharing how I feel about the club, and over multiple times of visiting the stadium. It's been generally a positive experience. It's been good. So hope that helps if you are planning to visit. And if you do enjoy German football videos from an English perspective, make sure you are subscribed, as we've got many more trips coming up on the channel. I do have an Auswärtsdauerkarte for VfL Bochum, but we will be making videos on each of the home team we visit, the area, the club, the history and so on along the way. We're not going to be there this weekend for the game at the Ruhrstadion for Bochum against Munster. We will be back for the game in Paderborn, so make sure you subscribe, and it should be a good video in Paderborn. We've also got another cheeky little video we'll be making before that game as well. We've got Bundesliga football at VfB Stuttgart against St. Pauli. We've got 3rd Division football in Ingolstadt. Nuremberg, who of course are a friend of Schalke, one of the biggest friendships in German football, arguably the biggest. People say it's bigger than Bochum and Bayern Munich. So again, Schalke fans, make sure you stay tuned for the Nuremberg video. And yes, Dankeschön. Auf Wieder. Bloody sane.